The art of mixology and the sexiness of passionate spirits is what drives this show. Each year, we look back into what impressed us the most. Ice is the unsung hero of the mixology trade, and few people understand the creative importance of what it means to a cocktail. In this amazing cocktail, the Caray, named after the oldest area in the French Quarter of New Orleans, this drink not only establishes a pedigree, but a passion that is carried through by the ice. All right, Richie, this looks like a special drink. At least the ice looks special. Talk to me about this one.
The ice is special. A lot of hours went into making that ice. This drink is called a Caray. That's like another name for the French Quarter years and years ago. This drink is kind of like, I like to think of it as a cross between like an old-fashioned, a Sazerac, Bobby Burns, all together has all these amazing flavors in it.
This is a good one, yeah.
Yeah, I'm glad you like it. So it has two different kinds of bitters, Angostura and Peychaud's bitters. Then we use a really nice cognac.
Okay.
And it also has rye whiskey, sweet vermouth, and a little bit of Benedictine.
Interesting. So why would you use that ingredient?
Well, because the classic recipe calls for it. So we're just going along with the recipe that was tried and true from years and years ago. We just recreate this cocktail here. You know, we didn't create it on our own.
Right, so just staying true to form on it.
Exactly.
Gotcha. So Richie, you know, that's the kind of drink that usually, at least here on Across the Bar, they make those great cut reels where we get to do some cool things with things like this great ice, which we don't get a chance to see very often. You mentioned something that, like, you know, for making drinks in South Florida, you really need great ice. What's the value of it, really?
Well, ice in South Florida, I mean, anywhere right now, ice is the biggest ingredient going into cocktails. It's the hottest thing. It's the hottest trend right now. But in Florida, especially deep South Florida, I mean, you came in today, it's got to be 80% humidity out right now. So if you take a cocktail with some very, you know, warm ice, as we say in the bar industry, it's going to melt in under 5 minutes. You're going to be looking at a glass of water.
It totally destroys the drink profile.
Exactly. This ice, bigger ice, is going to stay colder longer, keep your drink colder without the dilution.
Right.
And you're more than welcome to sit outside with it, and it probably last you, you know, a half an hour as opposed to,
all the way
2 minutes.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
We move on to the Cliff's Edge in Los Angeles, where the craze of pop-ups now enter the cocktail space. Customization based on each guest is truly an art that is delivered by artisans that are changing the idea of what craft cocktails truly mean. Look at pop-up bars and pop-up cocktail concepts like what you're doing here at Cliff's Edge. I mean, what was the inspiration behind a pop-up?
There's two elements.
All right.
What I mean by that is all omakase, all my stuff. If I was integrated with the restaurant and having to do wine and food and that, it doesn't work. What I do doesn't work in that circumstance. It only works independently. And now I have a staff.
Yeah.
So what's happening now is these craft cocktails I can actually put out You know, we're doing 150 cocktails a night in 5 hours.
Wow.
Just cocktails. No food, no wine. And it's because I have a staff and I'm more of the chef and the expert. I'm not even behind the bar barely. That's what you're gonna see is I'm in your position calling out cocktails that I've created that night or things that I've fed them or these paints, and I'm going around and bringing this experience to everybody in the table. And that's what you don't get. There's only a limited amount of seats at the table, so I extend that. So I'm almost trying to bring the bar to every table.
Wow, okay.
Because not everybody can sit here. This is tomato sorbet with margarine with wild ant beer made from ants.
Somewhere up there, and they made an heirloom tomato margarita, which was one of the greatest things I've ever
Okay,
had.
so what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna do that with apricot tequila, lovage from my garden, tomatoes. Let's just do that.
All right, that would be awesome. Man, I don't even know what to.
What do you like? You can't get the same thing, and you can't say I'll have it.
What does that mean? What is ant beer?
That means that you take ants that you found on the ground and made a, well, you make a beer Native American style, which is taking the ants, molasses, water, and yeast and let it ferment for a month.
The idea of like something that sort of captures the vibe of like a good, great gin and tonic, but not.
I know exactly. I know exactly. Okay, I got that, and I got you. Okay. How is that, Good. Whenever you're ready, I need an apricot, tomato, and lovage drink. I just keep creating and feeding these bartenders these things on a daily basis and making all this stuff, and I do believe that's the future. If I didn't, here's the deal, if I had a pop-up, let's say it's just me, oh, Matthew Biancanello is popping up here. How many drinks would I really be able to do by myself? How many drinks would I really, how many people would I want to talk to? That experience is lost. And to make it unique, you've got to keep that experience going, and you have to keep the quality high.
Beautiful. I venture into the challenge of the year and realize just how hard it is to be a sommelier and the palate that is required to understand the vastness of the grape varieties, only to realize that my wine skills needed some honing.
Let's first and foremost, the color.
The color is deep.
Right.
So I'm going to rule out a Pinot Noir, unless it's a really interesting one.
Yes, take a look at the color, and then you're going to nose it. Tell me about the fruit aromas first.
It's very dense. Jammy red fruit.
Fantastic. Okay, make a notation on your grid.
Got it.
Next, tell me about, do you have any minerality? Is it earthy? Is it mushroomy? Is there brush?
Got
or
a little earthiness to it.
is it the dominant aroma in the wine? Or is it a secondary or tertiary aroma?
It actually kind of fights for the control.
The earthiness of this wine? Okay. And tell me about the oak. Do you smell any baking spices? Any vanilla? Any?
Got a vanilla.
Okay, fantastic. Go ahead and put that down on your notes. I think this is going to be key in trying to identify this wine.
Okay.
Where would you take this wine in the world? Is it New World, Old World?
Old World, I think.
Old World.
Yeah.
Okay.
I think.
Go ahead and highlight that. What makes you say Old World out of curiosity?
It just has a real robust,
okay.
thickness to it. There's something about it that just makes it feel
There's an
very
intensity
bold.
to it. Okay.
I don't know if that means new or old, because I'm sure there's probably some new.
Okay,
new
so
ones.
let me give you a guide which might make you change your assessment.
Okay.
Intensity of fruit and ripeness, high alcohol is predominantly the New World. That is something key when I'm identifying
So
wines
I've
for a
got
guest.
a really fruity wine that I think is medium in alcohol. So this may be a New World wine. is what you're
Correct. So
saying.
maybe you might want to change your assessment now that you know this.
See, I got a cheat. That was a good note. Where does it say that on here?
Okay. Just make a note that you
Okay,
cheated.
I'm adjusting
Minus 1 point.
to New World.
Now, possible grape varieties. Whew. So we're in the New World. It has, you say, moderate alcohol.
It could be a Merlot, but I think that's a Cab.
You think it's a Cabernet? Okay. I think I may have stumped you on this one as well. Give me your final conclusion. You're taking this to the new world.
Not a Pinot.
Not a Pinot. Why?
It just is too deep,
Too deep, intense.
too dark.
Right.
Yeah, very intense for a Pinot. If that's a Pinot, I'm drinking this from here on out.
Fantastic. Go ahead and give me your final conclusion.
I'm thinking it's a Pinot because I'm reading you.
So Pinot Noir from where?
That would have to be something like Australia.
Australia, or give me another option.
Well, New Zealand is not far away from that, but I'm going to say it's out in the Pacific.
It's out in the Pacific. And
Yep.
vintage range, tell me, is this changing in color? Does this have any brick tones, or is it fading in color at all?
I think this is
not
an
an
older.
older.
This is an older wine.
Why?
It just feels like has so much structure to it, you know.
Okay, so let me guide you in a different direction. More structure, younger.
Oh, less structure, older.
Less structure.
New-
They start losing
new
their
tip.
tannins.
Ah,
They
so
start
this would
losing
be a
their
young one.
body. They start fading in color. Absolutely.
Yeah, that would be a new wine.
A young wine. So
Pinot 2011-12.
2011-12.
Oh God, here we go.
Time for the reveal.
Oh, Bella Gloss.
You got the grape varietal right.
The Pinot.
Pinot.
Young, but I was on the other side of the Pacific.